what makes people go commit mass murder? It's not the available tool. We're the Arms Journeys. Today we're talking about the shooting at Michigan State University and what happened prior to the shooting that kind of has a lot of people up in arms right now in terms of this guy's criminal history and how that played out with his prosecution and ultimate plea bargain. Before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button. And Richard, do you want to background us on this?
Yeah, and it's our policy. We don't discuss people's names when it comes to these mass shootings, but we do have a shooting up at Michigan State University. It left 3 dead, 5 injured. And here we find ourselves back, gun grabbers are using this. They can't wait a second but and I think Alan Gottlieb has a book on this called Dancing in Blood, because they want to not let a crisis go to waste and to push gun policies that probably would make no impact on this, because we all know the people who follow gun laws are the law-abiding. It's not the criminals. But I think kind of what surprised me, and I think this is what we're going to talk about, is the response from the gun community when it comes to whether this person should have had a firearm in the first place or not. In absolute tragedy, every life lost, our thoughts and prayers are with their families. But I think the discussion about there is some soft on crime prosecutor and this shouldn't have happened has left me a little confused.
Yes, it is, because it's coming from both sides.
Yeah.
So what happened is this man was arrested in 2019 for carrying a concealed pistol without a license, also known as something that is completely legal in how many states right now, Richard?
Yeah, 25, soon
26.
to be 27 maybe.
Yeah, yes. Michigan says you have to have a license. He did not. That's actually a felony offense in the state of Michigan, which in and of itself is kind of crazy to me, because even before Texas went constitutional carry, it was just a misdemeanor.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty severe.
So it's a felony. And we have this mass response that's like, well, we should have made him a felon for carrying a pistol concealed, as though that would have stopped him. And that's the part that really bugs me.
Yeah. I mean, that part bugs me. I'm bugged by the idea of, people who are purported supporters of the Second Amendment saying, hey, this guy should have been a convicted felon for something that's legal all over the place.
Yes.
If he had been in the state of Texas, post-constitutional carry, or even, maybe it would have been a misdemeanor, wouldn't have disqualified him, but even post-constitutional carry, that wouldn't have been a crime. That wouldn't have been a crime in a whole heck of a lot of states. It just kind of baffles me a little bit. And I'm interested to see what people have to say about this in the comments. I mean, obviously, this is a very controversial topic, but should he have been a felon in the first place?
Well, so here's the thing. So let's make him a felon.
Okay.
Let's impose the strictest gun laws we possibly can, such that we make tens or hundreds of thousands of people felons so that they cannot later possess firearms. Does that stop murder?
Yeah, to your second point, no.
And that's what really bothers me, I think, is that, it bothers me that, first of all, it's a lot of the people who are criminal justice reformers who are saying, why didn't we make him a first-time felon, which they would never say about anything that didn't involve a gun.
Right.
Right. But if you, and we can see this, my best example of this always, and I go back to it time and time again because it's a great example, is Sandy Hook, right? We have people who are willing to commit mass murder of innocent strangers. What are they willing to do to get their hands on a firearm? Sandy Hook showed us they're willing to murder their own mothers in order to get their hands on firearms. It is absolutely unfathomable to me that anyone could sit there and say, this person who is willing to kill people is not willing to commit a possession crime.
Yeah, buy a gun on the street.
Right. Is not willing to break out a car window and steal one.
Right.
Right? It's crazy to me to think that will stop, that's the root cause of this problem.
Right. And just like how they thought the gun-free zone at MSU would have stopped gun crime, didn't seem to have that effect. We see that happen all over the place. Gun-free zones are prime targets for these people. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of societal issues. It doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. It makes it tough to talk about. But I just, briefly, I wanted to contrast it with El Paso.
Yeah, well, and I'll say too, and people are going to say, well, you have all the answers. We don't have all the answers.
No.
The answers are above our pay grade because what makes people go commit mass murder? It's not the available tool, right?
Right.
It's all sorts of societal problems. It's, I don't know. I mean, frankly, and this is where the people on the other side of the gun argument for me are going to get really angry. But frankly, part of me thinks that it is the separation we have from firearms now that makes it such an appealing tool. Were we still in a world in which, your rifle, your shotgun, your pistol were kind of that everyday tool. You learned gun safety in school. You had a shooting team. I mean,
You're sitting in the back of your rack in your car.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is, I think we have a lot of the country where it is demonized and it's made into this, it's just for murder and it's just horrible. And so then when someone gets in their head, they want to commit murder, they're like, aha, I know them, instead of like respect for firearms and having it be incorporated into our lives, it's this like weird, dangerous, almost like quasi-sexy tool for doing something horrible.
Yeah, and I think it manifests itself as a symptom of problems that, gosh, I mean, you could spend lifetimes figuring this stuff out. Fatherlessness, poverty, drug addiction, SSRIs. I mean, it could be, there's so many things.
Yeah, I mean, inability to, support your family the way you want to. I mean, I think that is something that, could be at the root of this. But again, these are gigantic problems. Just like it's not the firearms issue, it's also not the gun lawyers' problems to fix, I think. And that's, I wish that we had the fix, but
it's so crazy to me that we just aren't holding individuals accountable, because that's really what it's all about.
And I'm sorry, you wanted to talk about El Paso?
Yeah, no, just briefly. I mean, because we look, just to contrast these things, we have a self-defender widely reported stopped a mass shooting at a mall in El Paso. And
I'm sorry, was that widely reported?
Yeah, no, I'll say it made the rounds on like page 8 in a few Texas newspapers. I don't think
the first report was 2 shooters.
Yes.
Two shooters, Richard.
Right. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But, we look at this and we can contrast the gun-free zone, non-gun-free zone, person, good guy with a gun, people left defenseless in a gun-free zone. I think it just shows, hey, look, I don't know why people are ignoring the obvious solution here. Yeah.
And I think we'll do another short video on this El Paso shooting happened at a mall this past week, because it's always good to talk about a good guy with a gun stopping a shooting scenario. Also, it was widely reported as 2 shooters. And then, of course, when it turns out there is a good guy with a gun, it's like the reporting went,
so
like, where to go.
Well, this isn't, I'm interested to hear what people have to say. We read your comments. Do you think that we should demonize folks who commit things that wouldn't be crimes in other states, especially when it comes to fundamental constitutional rights, like our right to keep and bear arms? Now, the outcome in this case, absolutely tragic. Obviously, condemn him 100% for his actions. But I'm interested to see what folks have to say. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And as always, question and comment for us below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.